Hi, welcome.
Thank
Welcome to
you.
our first, welcome to our first winter conservation camp webinar of 2025 with WWBIC. We are partnering with Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation today, and we're going to talk about cultivating a land-based business for conservation and profit and developing our ideas. We're going to hear from Cella Langer, farmer owner of Oxheart Farm, and Catherine Dunn, Vice President of Programs and Operations for WWBIC. So we're excited to do that. Before we do that, you will see all of our team members, our WWBIC team members, by our pink flower background and our WWBIC shirts. If you want to reach out to any of us in the chat while things are going on, if you have questions or whatever, please do. With that, we are going to hear from our program director, Esther, while she is talking about WWBIC and giving a little information. Please share in the chat your name, where you're from, and a land-based idea that you'd like to turn into a business, or you already have. Here's Esther.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming in today. It's really nice to see all of you here. We do welcome you all for all our programs for the year. I just wanted, most of you are stakeholders who we work with, and you've been to other events with us. But today, I also want to invite the new people who are here. And talk a little bit about what we are and what we do. Wisconsin Women in Conservation, I usually don't talk about nurturing our land and ourselves, but that's what we do, and we want to embrace this at this point in time. We are a project that's funded by the United States Department of Agriculture, Natural Resources Conservation Service, led by the Michael Fields Agricultural Institute, of which I am a part of, and working in partnerships with Wisconsin Farmers Union, Renewing the Countryside, Marble Seed, and our research partners or the E-Resources Group. What do we do? We work with landowners and who farm, who are with non-operators, beginning farmers. We create that safe space to share and connect for women. If you come into one of the events, you will see women sitting around in a circle, talking to each other, sharing dreams, goals, and learning new things for implementation on their farm. So we help meet other women who are passionate about conservation. We help find a network of peers and professionals to thrive with, because this is mostly geography-based. And also we learn together about conservation practices. Each of us, we continue to learn from you all. So it's like a place of learning together. And then we provide technical assistance for conservation plans based on the interest you have. And then we build a local community to support and grow. So this is the regions that we are operating in. The lighter shaded ones are in the first iteration of the project, and then the darker shaded ones are the places which we are operating now, but we still have a presence in our older regions. So as of today, WWBIC is operational in 30 counties across Wisconsin. And with active events in following counties: in Trempealeau, La Crosse, Monroe, Dane, Rock, Jefferson, Green Lake, Columbia, and Sauk, Eau Claire, Chippewa, and Clark. These are the counties in which you will have like events going on this year. And then the older regions, you'll have some potlucks and connection and networking with other folks. I wanted to draw your attention to save your dates for some of the events that's coming up. We have the second part of the winter webinar on February 27th at noon. I will bring on a slide that can show you a QR code if you want to register right now. And then on February 27th, we will be present at the Marble Seed Conference. If any of you are going there, please come and join us. We will take off joining our sisters from Minnesota, because the MinBIC is also launched. And so it'll be great to sit together with sisters from Minnesota and Wisconsin, learning about conservation and sharing our stories. There's more events coming up, as I mentioned, in many of those counties. Please check back our website frequently so you know what's going on. Here's the invite for the next conservation winter webinar. It is about cultivating a land-based business, writing a business plan. And Venus Williams, from Milwaukee. She's a great entrepreneur. She'll be the one who's going to share, just like Cella is going to do the honors today for us. Catherine, as we're very thankful for sparing your time for today, as well as for the next webinar. Thank you. And then last but not the least, we are having our second Educator Network conference coming up on April 25th of 2025 at Stevens Point, the same place we met last year in 2023. We just look forward to having each of you there. So if you can, go ahead. The registrations is live in our website. You can go and register yourself. And then if not, look at the QR code today, and then we look forward to having you there. Just keep connected with us through our website, through our list there. And then anything else, if you want to reach us out, our team's information is there. Please reach out to us, and then we're happy to help you. Back to you, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Yeah. So we are so excited to be launching this winter webinar series in partnership with WWBIC. And we will learn more about that with our second presenter, Catherine. Our first presenter, I'm so pleased to have her. She's my country neighbor, and I've enjoyed her delicious ice cream and yogurt. Cella Langer is the farmer owner of Oxheart Farm. She grew up on a homestead in central Massachusetts where she milked goats and weeded the garden even as a small child. Cella's love for agriculture and education has brought her to work in school gardens in Detroit, indigenous mountain villages of Ecuador, vegetable and livestock farms in Minnesota and Wisconsin, a cheese-making dairy farm in western Massachusetts, and an incubator farm for immigrant and minority farmers near Madison. She currently raises a diverse mix of vegetables, pastured pork and beef, milks happy, healthy cows, and makes delicious yogurt and soft-serve ice cream on her family farm in western Wisconsin. Take it away, Cella. I'm going to share your PowerPoint here.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Jennifer, and to everybody for organizing this. I'm very happy to be here and to share a little bit about developing our farm business. So my name is Cella Langer, and I own and operate Oxheart Farm in west central Wisconsin together with my husband, Emmett Fisher. And we have an 80-member vegetable CSA. We do all on-farm pickup and a market style free choice veggie CSA. As Jennifer mentioned, we also do pastured pork and beef. And we have currently a 6-cow grass-fed dairy and an on-farm dairy processing plant where we bottle milk, we make yogurt, and we make soft-serve ice cream. And so that's what I'm going to focus on today. I think since the dairy is a little bit more of our unique venture, obviously there are a lot more people out there who could tell you a lot about starting a veggie farm or grass-fed or pastured meat business. As far as I know, we're the smallest grade A dairy plant in the state of Wisconsin, and so I wanted to share a little bit with you about that. I'm going to talk about it sort of in terms of phases of developing this business idea, and I would say that with each phase, the next one builds on top of the previous one. So each phase continues while the next one begins. And so our journey sort of began in 2011. Emmett and I were interning on a vegetable CSA farm in southeastern Minnesota, and really came to realize both of us had a little bit of background with dairy animals, but it was that summer that we really came to realize our love and passion for both cows and for the dairy products that you can make with their milk. And so as we started wrapping up our internship at the end of the summer of 2011 and thinking about what we wanted to do next, it seemed like dairy was the obvious thing. So I call this phase that summer the beginning of the dreaming phase. And so that was when we sort of first were struck with the idea that small-scale dairy would be something that we could possibly explore, and that we were very passionate about. So we started looking for winter internships. Since you can't really intern on a vegetable farm in the winter, we thought maybe we could get an internship milking cows. So that was when the next phase began, the learning phase, and you can go to the next slide, please. So here we are in the fall of 2011. We landed on a cheese-making raw milk dairy in Western Massachusetts, and spent about 5 months milking 30 brown Swiss cows and learning how to make cheese and learning all aspects of raising dairy cattle and processing their milk that you can. Obviously, we weren't making hay and grazing, but we were really just learning a ton about raising it, about direct marketing. We did farmers markets. We had a farmstead, a farm store where we sold raw milk and about 5 different types of cheese that we made. And so from there, we kind of entered into the scheming phase. And so we were there into the spring of 2012. And in the fall of 2012, you can go to the next slide, we started the Land Stewardship Project's Farm Beginnings class. And so we moved back out here to Wisconsin and had a different farm job, but we were taking this class, and we knew that we wanted to be able to start right away with something agriculture related, but we also knew that we weren't going to be able to get into dairy right away, that would take time to build up. And so we started planning for a small vegetable CSA and for pigs and chickens, and we started scheming about cows. And so you can see here sort of that in 2015, so year 1 on this 5-year timeline from our Farm Beginnings class was 2013, which was when we launched our farm business. But we said that in 2015 we would buy our first cow, in 2016 we'd buy our second cow, and in 2017 we would start the dairy licensing process. We didn't quite follow that timeline exactly, but that sort of gives you the idea. And in 2015, we were doing it was then Moses mentorship with Stony Acres Farm near Athens, Wisconsin. And we went up to visit their farm, and they knew that we were interested in dairy and small-scale dairy processing, and they had a neighbor who was bottling milk. You can go to the next slide. So we got to go and visit Clover Meadows Dairy near Athens, Wisconsin, and that was a really big turning point for us. I would say that this is when we entered into the planning phase for the first time. So up until that point, for several years, we'd been dreaming about dairy and thinking about it a lot. And when we went to Clover Meadows, something clicked. And it was the first time that we realized not just that we wanted to do it, not just that we were going to do it in the future, but we realized how. It was a huge inspiration. They were milking about a dozen cows. They had an on-farm grade A dairy plant, and everything was so simple and everything was so efficient. And the thing that was so eye-opening was that we had thought a lot about cheese. We thought about butter and different, and maybe even ice cream. And the thing about cheese and butter and ice cream is that you're always losing something. You lose skim milk, you lose whey, you lose buttermilk. But with Clover Meadows Dairy, they were only processing things that would give 100% yield from their milk. And so they were doing whole milk in glass bottles, as you can see here. They were doing, and they were doing yogurt. And so that was when we thought, aha, that's how, with only a small number of cows, you can actually make a profitable business, is by making these products that are 100% yield. So we started really buckling down on our planning and crunching some numbers, and then you can go to the next slide. in the spring of 2017, let me back up a little bit. In 2016, we had been renting land outside of Madison. We moved up here to West Central Wisconsin to be closer to Emmett's family, my husband's family. So we were on another piece of rented land, and in the spring of, and we were growing our veggies and our pigs and our chickens. And in the spring of 2017, we started our dairy herd. And so this is our, you can see our little calves here. This is the front center there is Emmy Lou. You'll see her again. She's sort of our, she's always been sort of our poster child. And she was our first cow. We had a couple other heifers, and we bottle fed them along with a few steers, and that was the beginning. So the next phase, you can go to the next slide, please. The next phase I would call the saving phase. So in the fall of 2017, we bought our own farm here in Hager City, and this is it. That's our house. You can see a couple of our outbuildings in the background. And once, up until that point, we'd really been focused completely on saving money for a down payment. Once we bought the farm, we were able to shift our focus to saving for the dairy plant. And so we worked on saving, and it was also sort of a turning point in that once we had our own land, we could see very clearly that what our options were in terms of our land base. So we were, it's 35 acres, and 17 of it is like steep wooded ravine, and there were about 13 acres of tillable land that had all been planted into a monocrop, basically a pine plantation in the 90s. And so we went about starting to convert the pine plantation into a diverse pasture, silvopasture, and it was pretty clear that we weren't gonna grow into a big vegetable CSA farm. The land is very sloping. All of the land that had pine trees on it was full of stumps, even after we got it cleared, and it was pretty clear that pasture was going to be a better fit than tilled ground. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So the next phase I would call the building phase, and that has three parts. So the first part of the building phase was building our herd. So here you can see Emmy Lou now on the left with the horns, and that little guy is her first calf, which was our first calf that was born on our farm. And as I'm sure most of you know, when you have a calf, you get milk. And so we started milking Emmy Lou in the summer of 2019, and that was just for personal use. We were, drinking the milk, making butter and yogurt for ourselves. But we had a couple other cows coming along that were pregnant, and so in the fall of 2019, we started the next building phase, which was the infrastructure. You can go to the next slide, please. We had a garage on the farm here that was just storage. Let's see. I guess, yeah, could you go to the next slide, please, Jennifer? Thank you. So this is the garage that we got some folks in there to start putting in here. They're busting up some of the concrete to put in floor drains. And you can go to the next slide. We started building, we put in sloped concrete floors, which sloped to the floor drains in floor heat. And then we started dividing up the garage space into the different rooms required for the grade A dairy plant. You can go to the next slide. So this was all through the winter of 2019. You can see we were working on getting all, we have coving tile in there at the bottom. We put in windows. We were working on all of the specifications that we needed to make this a licensed dairy plant. You can also see that we started building a family here. We have our older son, is about one in this picture, I think. Let's see. Yes, we were working off-farm jobs part-time at this point. And thank you for the reminder in the chat box there. So we got a little bit creative with our funding for this creamery construction. We had some savings, personal savings. We did get a grant from the Mill City Farmers Market. I believe it's called the Next Stage Grant. And we also, for the remaining portion of our budget, we ended up, we were selling veggies at the time. We calculated that we would need to sell 6 3-year veggie CSA shares in order to finance the rest of our creamery project. And so at that point, we had roughly the same veggie CSA member base for about 3 years. And so we reached out and said that we were looking for a few people to sign on for 3-year CSA shares, and we got them. We got 6 shares, and that we were able to finance the rest of our creamery project that way. In the spring of 2020, most of the construction was done. We were about to put in an order for our equipment, and which was from a company out of Maryland, and we ended up deciding to sort of put the brakes on a little bit with some of the uncertainty going on in that time period, and thought this would be a good time to just sort of wait and put a pause on things, not move forward too quickly. So we focused on our veggie growing season, and then in the fall, winter of 2020 into 21, you can go ahead to the next slide. We picked back up where we left off with the creamery. Here's Emmett putting in, and Hugo, our older son, putting in plumbing. We did the wiring, and then we started installing equipment. You can go to the next slide. This is our little milk house with our bulk tank. So this is where the milk comes in after milking and gets cooled and stored. Go to the next slide. And this is our, just one second here. Sorry about that. My little one just got home and I was using his room for my meeting. I'm just gonna switch spots for a second.
Well, we said kids and pets are always welcome on this Zoom. So this isn't the way we normally expect to see it, but we love that moms can participate in our programs.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So, so here is the arrival of our equipment, our dairy processing equipment. We have about a quarter mile long driveway that the big delivery trucks don't like to come up, and so here we are picking it up at the end of the driveway with the tractor. And let's see, you can go to the next slide. And so the next part of the building phase was building our herd. So this is getting our cows pregnant, starting to have more calves, and also sorry, I said that already. Building up our pasture as well is sort of the next part. So we had this pine plantation, as you can see. So getting some of that land cleared, getting it seeded, it really was pretty much a monocrop. And I see, I'm almost out of time here. Okay. Okay, you can go through the next couple slides. These just show pictures of our pasture development. You can go ahead to the next one. The grass is starting to grow. This is some branding. I did a print for our milk bottle design. You can go to the next slide. This is the arrival of our glass milk bottles. And if you go to the next one, here's Emmy Lou again with our bottle. There's you can see the grass, the linoleum block grass design there, and our logo and some of our milk. The next one, this is starting to get rolling with production. Here's 4 cows in our little milking parlor that we built. And so in the spring of 2021, you want to go to the next slide, we got our dairy plant licensed and up and running. We were able to start selling milk. Here's Emmett washing bottles, filling bottles. And you can go to the next slide. Here I am making some yogurt. And am I out of time, Jennifer?
You're close. Can you do one more minute?
Yep, I'll do one more minute. So you want to
Okay.
you can go through the next couple. This is just our yogurt, and then oh, we want to go back up there for one sec. This is our sales fridge. So we have, oops.
Hold on.
So
There we go.
milk, yogurt, plain and flavored yogurt in we have a little self-serve farm store sales fridge there. And in 2022, we got another grant from the Dairy Business Innovation Alliance. You can go to the next slide. We realized that we didn't really have enough land to expand our pasture, so we couldn't get more cows and make more milk. So we opted to go more towards the diversity and add products rather than increasing our production. So we decided to go with soft serve, and here we are with receiving our soft serve machine. We hired a consultant to help us learn how to use it and make the mix, and there we are at our first farmers market selling soft serve. And the next slide is just a couple of our flavors. So I guess just sort of to wrap things up here, we now sell about 4,600 bottles of milk a year, about 800 quarts of yogurt a year. And this year we're looking at selling about 2,500 soft serve cones and 320 pints of gelato. So I had a college professor in environmental education who used to say her motto was start slow, but go. And we've sort of taken that. It took 10 years to get from our original dream to our first sale. But here we are. We both work full time on the farm now, and we derive about half of our income from our farmstead creamery.
So cool. Well, thank you so much, Cella. I know that was fast and furious trying to pack it in over our lunch hour, but we really appreciate you sharing your very cool story, and many of us know how it feels to work with children along the way. So we appreciate that too.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so we will come back, and if you would stay on, we're going to have questions at the end. So if you just stick around, I would like to introduce our next presenter, Catherine Dunn. And Catherine Dunn is she is the Vice President of Programs and Operations with WWBIC. We're so pleased to be working with them on this webinar and another one in February 27th, as we kind of collaborate on cultivating land-based business. So Catherine joined WWBIC in mid-2024, leading the program and operations teams that provide small business lending and business training programs targeting women, people of color, veterans, and low-wealth individuals. A statewide economic development organization, WWBIC has served more than 80,000 individuals and provided more than $135 million in loan capital to small businesses since 1987. They've been around for a while. It's so great. Prior to joining WWBIC, Dunn served as the Chief Strategy Officer for the Greater Milwaukee Foundation and Vice President of Community Impact for 13 years. She has a long career in philanthropy and nonprofit leadership work, focused on expanding access to capital, supporting entrepreneurs, particularly under-resourced individuals, and promoting engagement and equity as key to lasting change. Her career includes managing grant-making strategies, program-related investment programs, and local, regional, and national collaborative initiatives in economic development, mission investing, and workforce development. We're so pleased to introduce Catherine. Take it away, please.
Catherine, you're muted.
All right, can you hear me now? All right, thank
Yes.
you. And just a quick technology check. Are my slides showing up okay? Yeah, awesome.
They
Thank
look
you.
great.
And I just want to say thank you to everybody, and in particular, thank you for the story and the sharing that Cella just walked us through that journey. It was really great, and I do not have any adorable slides like that, so but I'm hoping that I can share a little bit of information today with you about the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation, and then also walk through just a couple of strategies for how do you explore your idea further. I really appreciated people putting things in the chat about businesses they have or concepts that they're exploring to start a business or to grow a hobby that they might be doing right now. So I have about 20 minutes, and then we'll have time at the end for questions. There will also be some links to resources put in the chat at some point that will be links to classes that we offer. So you might want to explore that more. I do want to get started by just sharing from our client's view a little bit about WWBIC and the way that WWBIC has helped support small business growth, small business development. So it's a short video, and then I'll come right back on with y'all.
Catherine, should there be sound or?
Yeah,
Maze came
There we go.
how to can and make ties
Yeah.
from my grandma.
Perfect.
It was a hobby, and suddenly the business was growing, and I wasn't sure if I was ready to move it forward. And so that's when I reached out to WWBIC. They offer everything from the classes to helping you reach out to get loans and the management of your business. It really helped us focus our goals, and it also helped us plan for the future instead of just treading water. Just the confidence that they get given me to move forward and to feel comfortable hiring new people and knowing that I have them behind us to ask questions. It's been really an asset to us.
JCP Construction is made up of three brothers, myself, James, my brother Clifton, and my other brother Jailer. Seemed like we had all the pieces needed in order to make a successful run at the construction market. Because of capital, we weren't able to necessarily do as many projects as we like to. So the credit lines from WWBIC allowed us to be able to hire more employees, both in the field and office. WWBIC gave us the ability to expand. Currently, we're at about 7 in the office as well as 34-ish in the field, depending on the day. trying to make sure that we continue to do a good job and expand, grow, and provide more jobs and work on other cool projects in the area as well.
I grew up in the industry. Both of my parents were chefs. So I knew I wanted to do it, but I wanted to do things right. And that's when I went to WWBIC. They had more faith in me probably than I had in myself at the time. I was only 24, so I had no credit. And I think it would have been very difficult to get $100,000 loan from a bank with zero credit. They helped me put my business plan together. They helped me with the loan. I don't think that I would be here today if it wasn't for WWBIC's help. They set me up for success.
I would recommend WWBIC to anyone.
It's allowed us to grow, and we would not have been able to get to that next level if it was not for their help as far as additional capital.
And they make everything possible for us.
They helped me pretty much make my dream become a reality.
I appreciate you having us, allowing me to share that video, because it's so helpful to hear it from the words coming from our clients directly in terms of the services that we provide. But just, again, very quickly, a little bit more understanding around WWBIC. We are a statewide economic development organization providing business education, coaching and counseling, and then also access to capital. And we do this primarily for women, low wealth individuals, rural and urban. And we have a special program for veterans as well. And we're a nonprofit organization statewide. We have 6 physical offices across the state. Our newest one is in Hayward, but we serve every county across the state. We are about to open a virtual statewide office that will serve specifically individuals looking to start childcare businesses or expand childcare businesses to help meet the need that exists in the gap in childcare. You can see here 68% of our clients across the state of Wisconsin are women-owned businesses. This was already shared, but since we were started in 1987, we've served over 80,000 individuals, $135 million in loan capital just in the state of Wisconsin, and served over 12,000 small businesses and counting. We offer financial wellness, so financial and coaching and counseling on financial capability and credit repair. We have classes and training, which you'll see later, links to different class schedules across the state of Wisconsin. Capital, and then again, connections and coaching, which really is targeted for our loan clients, where we assign a small business consultant to every client that is one of our loan clients. So today I get to share just a little bit about developing your idea. And sorry, I'm trying to keep my slides to catch up there. So really just hoping to get you thinking more or deeper about exploring the concept you have for a business or expanding one that you already have. I'm hoping that you're going to be taking notes as we talk, just because there would be a few questions that I'll ask you to answer for yourself. And then also, hopefully, some of this will serve as a foundation or a basis to continue to explore building out a business plan, which is actually for February, not required, and you'll definitely get some information today that'll help with you thinking about that. So some people said in the chat that they already have a business. Some people said they weren't sure. I would ask you, as you think about the business and the different ideas that you have, to think about or focus on one idea as you're at least going through this exercise, and then to ask yourself a couple of questions. around fitting your lifestyle, having the resources to start it. And really important is, do you have experience in this area already? And we'll explore some fundamental questions about, how to explore your concept a little bit more. But really, the purpose of these questions is to improve chances of success through planning and preparation. And then also evaluating your concept and yourself is a great place to start. Oop. Sorry. I lost control of there we go. So starting, you start the thinking in terms of what exactly is your business idea. You've already, some people again had some ideas, but thinking about why would people want to buy your product or service? And why would they buy it from you versus someone else? And this really is about your value proposition and what it is that you're offering. And it's a really important consideration and really important to spend some time thinking through this. Is this based on price? Is it based on better or faster or friendlier service? Based on buy local and sort of wanting to be positively affiliated with a business or a brand? But this question is really important because this will also help you refine and further refine your business concept. And it'll also take you into the next question, which is really who will buy your product or your service? And why would they continue to buy it? What you have here on the screen are really typical market segmentations that you would see if you were doing market research. So you can think about, is it people based on the geographic location, they're close to you, or people who have hobbies or interests? I saw somebody who did wool, produced wool. And so would people who would buy your product would be people perhaps who have a hobby of knitting or making products with wool, felting wool. Slide, they're not catching up here. Another consideration is, what is your experience in this area already? And thinking a little bit about your background as it relates to your business idea. Do you already sell some of your products in the form of a hobby at like a farmer's market or craft fairs and art shows? So these are just questions for you to think about. Do you have family members who are business owners or who do this already, who do work in the industry? Do you have formal training, or do you need formal training, and where can you get it? There's a lot of places, not a degree program per se, but the small business development centers at local colleges and universities are great places to get additional training. Resources like the webinar that we're on now, great place to get additional training. And then thinking about additional skills that you have that are not specific to the business idea itself, but that can help you run the business, like computer skills, web design skills, social media skills. I loved the art that Cella did to put on her logo and to do the branding. I mean, what a great skill to have, great talent, and then to be able to use it to help brand the business. It's beautiful. And then these are just some self-reflection thoughts, really, as you think about what it means to go into business and to run a business. Are you a self-starter? Are you motivated by yourself to complete projects, follow your own timeline, follow through? Are you good at talking to people, striking up conversations? Do you trust your decision-making skills? Are you a good active listener? Are you organized? Do you have the physical and emotional stamina to run a business 12 or 18 hours a day? Just there's a number of different sort of, are you an entrepreneur, checklists or evaluations that you can look at that will help you walk through some of these things. But again, these are things for you to think about as you're exploring your idea. The other thing to think about is whether or not the lifestyle that running a business or having a business is. Does it fit into your lifestyle? And It can lead to a hard balance against the demands of family. There may be some financial difficulties until your business becomes profitable. Can you weather those? Do you have strategies? How does it fit into personal goals around your family? Does it fit into personal financial goals? And how risk averse are you or aren't you? I mean, those are all things to evaluate as you think about exploring starting a business. Another thing that for consider is this the difference between having a hobby and having a business? And having a hobby, having a business, a hobby is something you do in your free time for your enjoyment. A business is an activity you engage in now with the intent of making a profit or sort of advancing your passions. The difference being, though, with when you move into the business structure, you have a legal structure, you have taxes, you have licensing, you have other things that you need to take into consideration. Really, what this does is it becomes more customer focused and less self-focused. A hobby is very self-focused. A while ago, I had a jewelry making business that started as a hobby, and I sold at craft fairs, art shows. I organized it then as a actual business. I got my EIN number and managed it as a business for about 3 years. And I realized that I couldn't create on demand. I couldn't continue to manage it as a business because I didn't want to manage, sort of doing creativity and making jewelry in a way that I could get it out into the market. I could replenish inventory at a couple of stores that were carrying my jewelry. And so I decided I was going to go back into having it as a hobby, and I love it and I still do it and I still sell my products, but not in the same way as when I thought I was going to do it as a business. But that was my own personal, my personal decision. So expanding a little bit on, again, just thinking about the business idea, one of the things is thinking about how does money come into your business concept? How do you sell your products and where does that money come in from? Is it, again, through selling at a farmer's market or through selling CSA shares? Is it through contracts, membership, subscriptions, point of sale? This is important, of course, because the other part of this question then is how quickly does cash come into your business? How quickly does money come into your business? If you work with contracts with like the government or municipalities or the state government, it's likely you have 30, 60, 90, 120 days before you get paid after providing the good or the service. If you use Square or online service, or you take cash at a store or a farmer's market, payment is instant. So there's like this wide range of how cash is coming in quickly or not quickly into your business. Definitely impacts your cash flow considerations and how much cash you need to have on hand in order to manage the business. The other part of that, as you're exploring your concept, how quickly do you have to put money out? How quickly do you have to pay bills, payroll, suppliers, products and materials, subscription services, insurances, licensing, fees, those kinds of things. So again, just a couple of things just to begin to think about as you are thinking about the business concept. Doesn't sound as fun to think about this stuff, as much as like the fun part of having a business or pursuing your passion. And yet these are the things that if you think about them on the front end, they won't catch you on the back end and be problematic. Couple of quick things to wrap up. Thinking about market and market research. You probably are doing this already in terms of talking to people, finding out how people like your product or would like your product. Things you want to figure out is how big is your market opportunity? Who else is doing what you're doing or selling what you're selling? So that's your competition. There's ways you can do that are, I'll say, informal market research. So you can talk to customers at similar businesses. If you're already in business and you have sales and customers, you can talk to them, call them, ask them to be brutally honest, tell them you're thinking about expanding or a new product line, ask for feedback. It's the best way to get that direct from your customers. You can also go into similar businesses in other markets to try and just talk to the owners of the business and get a little more information. Usually, if you're not in their direct range of competition or their geographic competition, people will talk to you. People love to talk about their business. But it is an opportunity to go into another community and talk to folks who have similar businesses. There's more formalized ways, of course, to do market research. These are all available on Google, but there's a lot of different associations or government websites. There's the Chamber of Commerce that you can talk to in the community. You can, again, depending on what your product or your service is, you can find specific associations, trade associations, or membership organizations that would be most appropriate for you. I'm going to leave you with what's called the business model canvas. You don't have to organize you don't have to organize quite like this, but this is what I would call a precursor to a business plan. And it's really important, business planning, it's really not a document to create and put on a shelf. It really is a document to live and breathe and grow with you as you grow your business. This is an opportunity to just begin to frame out some of the key elements of your business plan, your key partners. So that's actually not your customers. Those are people that you would turn to if you have questions or you need mentoring. So those are your key partners, your key activities. How are you going to be differentiating yourself from others? Like, what are you going to do that's going to be different than the person down the street who sells, I'll say, coffee or honey or maple syrup? How is yours different, better? What are you going to do different? Your value proposition, again, that's coming back to how are your customers going to find you to be better than the people down the street? What's going to make you better? Your customer relationships, how are you going to interact with customers? Is this online e-commerce business? Is this a farmer's market business? Is this in your local store? Again, you can follow along customer segments, who are your customers, but this is just a model, and you can do it this way. And I can share this template out with the team, with Jennifer, and you can share it. But it's just a way to begin to organize your thoughts so that as you do further refine your concept, that you just have a way to capture your notes, think about it, and then use this as a precursor for a more formalized business planning process. So
Love that.
end it there.
Thank you, Catherine. I mean, I know that you just touched on the resources that you all have to offer. And I really love that little document that you just shared, because I love a good snapshot. I love a back of an envelope budget and snapshot. As a business owner for 11 years, it's kind of fun to just do that periodically. Anyway, so okay. Let's take some questions to start. Can we? Yes, thank you. So we have Cella and Catherine, and I know this is a short hour, but we're going to do as many questions as we can. I want to start with, there was one in the chat earlier that Cella did share the answer to. Somebody was wondering, do you mind sharing the approximate cost of building out the Creamery Plus equipment? And Cella, do you want to speak to that just a little bit? I know you answered it in the chat, but if you could
Sure. Yeah,
give a
so like
little
I
info.
was saying there, and I think I might have been off by a little. I think it was more like, ended up being more like 17,000 for our equipment. But yeah, I think it ended up being about 50,000 total for the construction and initial equipment. We did, besides the concrete floor, we did all of the labor ourselves. And by ourselves, I mean, with the help of a lot of family and friends. But we didn't hire out any of the other labor, and we bought as many of our materials used as possible. All of the dairy processing equipment was brand new, but like our bulk tank, all of our milking equipment was all used. And even, like windows, doors, all that kind of thing was from like a reused store.
Great. Thank you. So somebody else was wondering, is 8 acres too small to start my own business off the land? I have chickens and ducks, soon adding bees.
Is that a question for me? I mean, Chris answered, I think, in the chat. I think that it's, you can definitely do a lot with 8 acres. Not too small.
I totally agree with that. And then people are wondering, is there a link to that snapshot document? And that is, I believe, yes, that is in the chat right now. Christine just put that in the chat. And then is there potential homework for the next session? Catherine, you will be our continuity. What do you think?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I really do think some of those questions, and I apologize, I went through stuff really fast, but really just thinking about your business concept, some of the nuances around your market, like who your customers are going to be. So just really thinking more and more around that and talking to other people who might already be in your industry or who might be selling a similar product that you are, just so that you continue to develop your understanding of not just the product itself, but running a business where you're selling that product or that service, because they are two different things. They're definitely intertwined. But managing the business along with producing the product or the service. And so again, just continuing to explore some of those concepts, I think would be good homework.
Yeah, that sounds great. Alex is wondering, for reuse material, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Sustag in Minnesota, is there a listserv for used farm equipment in Wisconsin?
I guess I don't know the answer to that specifically. There's a reuse store in the Twin Cities area, and I know that like Habitat for Humanity reuse stores are all over the place. Those were our big ones. I can't remember what the name of the place is outside the Twin Cities, but I don't know. Does anybody else know of an equipment listserv?
Why don't you put that in the chat if other people know of that? I know we learn about some things just on our local Western Wisconsin CSA farm listserv. So there might be that too locally. We have the question, do you mind sharing what else you do for income aside from the dairy farm? So this would be for Cella. I'm curious because I have a full-time job and may have to keep both until everything is up and running. Isn't that a good question?
Get that. So, we have done all sorts of things. When we first started our farm, we were both working half-time for the nonprofit, the Farley Center, outside of Madison, which is a farm incubator program. I was also working part-time at a bakery. Emmett was also working part-time at a cheese plant. And we've worked for other nonprofits. We've worked for other restaurants, other farms. It's been sort of a mishmash all along, and at this point, it's just the farm. So it's about roughly half veggies and half dairy, and the remainder made up by the meat.
Very cool. Well, we are at 12:59, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. If you're able to stay on a little bit after one, we can take a few more questions. But I do want to just let everybody know that we have a lot going on at WWBIC in 2025. We will have some links in the chat that you can see, but we do have a listserv ourselves, and that is, you can email info@wewic.org to join that. We also have a blog, and that you can sign up for that as well. That's all linked on our website, and we'll throw that in the chat too. We do have a webinar, a second webinar in this series coming up. Can you all see this? We're really excited to have Venus Williams with us, as well as Catherine again, is so gracious to share her expertise again. So this is February 27th, again, a Thursday lunch webinar. We'd love to have you with us. This will kind of be building on developing your idea into actually writing a business plan. Okay, and then I had one more thing that I would love to tell you about, and that is our Educator Network Conference. So we have our spring conference is coming up April 25th in Stevens Point, Mind the Gap, Bridging Boundaries and Barriers. We have so much great info and people networking available there. Space is limited, so please check out the registration. There's also a famed chocolate fountain that I've only heard of. I actually didn't experience it last time, and I'm really excited about it. So we'd love to see you there as well. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Have a wonderful Thursday. We'll see you back here February 27th. Cella and Catherine, can you stay on for a couple minutes and we'll take a few more questions in the chat?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Does it just, if you have any other questions, anything that's come up as we've been talking through things, we have these skilled and wonderful women here able to answer. I guess I have okay, here's Alex. What's next for you? So what's next for you, Cella?
For me, well, the gelato is kind of new for us, and also we're just for the first time starting to sell some of our soft serve mix to somebody else to serve at their store. So, hopefully, just kind of maintaining though. At this point, we've done enough growth, and we want to just keep steady for a little while.
I totally get that.
Can I just
So
follow on?
Catherine,
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask which of your products has the best margin?
Oh, soft serve by a long shot.
Hmm.
It's a gem.
Catherine is wondering, Cella, how did you learn to make the new products as you continued to expand?
Yeah, that's a great question. We had the great opportunity of being able to write consultants into our grant. So when we did the Dairy Business Innovation Alliance, we actually hired a consultant for the soft serve and a different one for the hard ice cream or the gelato, and they taught us everything we know. Quite a luxury.
Very cool. So somebody is wondering, they currently have a spa suite in the Dells and pay a lease for that spot. And they have an idea to move their homestead and mix up organic life with spa services. What do you think about that?
Can I come?
I know, right?
That sounds great.
It's doable.
What do you find, Catherine, what do you find is a major, is there like a year as an entrepreneur and a business owner, is there like a year that you get past and then you feel like you kind of got it going? Do you see that in your experience, like a year of business?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question, and Sally could probably answer that question from personal experience. But the entrepreneurs that we're working with, I think it's sort of like it's like a series of plateaus and growth periods. I think getting through the first couple years is a major milestone. And then there's usually some leveling off and growth, I would say, but not like that kind of growth. But it's getting through the first 2 or 3 years is really the critical time. And then depending on what kind of business they're in, sometimes it's just then smooth. I should not use that word. It's just steadier growth and expansion, depending. But then you have businesses that are in certain industries that experience this, upheavals, and it throws people back to the beginning again. We've had clients who do really well for like 5, 6, 7 years, and then something will happen where they get thrown back to almost being in startup mode again. And so, it really just depends on the industry.
Sure. Well, thanks for that. I'm just looking back up here at some of the business ideas. A lot of like regenerative agroforestry, wellness, rewilding, permaculture. It's so cool. We have such cool people that join us.
I love
Looking-
reading those. I loved reading through those. And I even love this, like the spa idea. And I saw there was another one that was more hospitality, but sort of in more of an organic farm environment. I love those concepts. Those are the ones there was a question about homework, is really exploring like how do you sell that as a experience, or how do you sell that as a product, depending on which of those examples you're using, and really exploring how to do that. I think is really an important step.
We have one question here. So we have somebody that just recently graduated university with a botany degree. Any advice for young entrepreneurs who are just entering the workforce?
Sally, do you want to take that? And no.
Take that. Well, that's you go for it.
I mean, it depends. If you're able to enter the workforce in an industry that you want to be the entrepreneur in, I think that makes a ton of sense. And so get the experience while somebody else is paying you to get the experience. And then you can start your own gig or your own side gig. That would be some advice. The other, I didn't talk about this on the full webinar, but we support a program called Kiva lending. And so Kiva is crowdsource lending. And it is an opportunity to, you have a business plan and you have a business idea, but you also have to go out and kind of market it to get people to crowdfund you. And then our platform, we provide a match around the crowdfunding. And it's a great way to get your foot in the door and to start growing your business with a very micro local focus. The Kiva, there's a link on our website to Kiva loans and sort of that Kiva platform on there. It is a great way to sort of test a little bit the concept. Again, they're loans, but they're zero interest loans. It's the only place I know of where you can get zero interest money. You have to pay it back. But again, it's as close to a grant as you can get in terms of the cost.
Wow. Yeah, I remember. I haven't thought about those for a while, but that is a great opportunity. I'm glad that you reminded us of that. Yeah, so any other questions that we can see? We've got so many great resources here. And so Esther was putting the WWBIC resources in the chat. There are links to various training programs, their resource book, which has a ton of information in it, QR codes for easy access. So do go and check that out, and we can follow up too with that. Reach out to WWBIC if you have questions. Otherwise, I think we will say thank you for being here and join us again on February 27th.